I'd like to think that I put the model in role model. He's crazy like Jack Bauer. His name is Forrest Power. Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, YouTube. One of the main thinking points on this channel has always pertained to role models. I'm increasingly frustrated with the world in some ways because it seems to me that there aren't many guiding lights out there for people. I switch on the TV and I see celebrities glorified for having zero talent, being superficial, and people take great pride in seeing other people fail at things. Case in point was the Anthony Joshua fight just a few weeks ago. There's someone that's tried to conduct himself for most of his life as a role model, but he gets beat by Alexander Usyk in a title fight, and social media was awash with people bashing, hating, and being negative. Seems to me that humans can be pretty dark, and we're in drastic need of some role models to help us along the way. So, who do I look to as a role model? I hear you cry, people of YouTubes. Well, sometimes you've actually got to look beyond humanity. Enter a pint-sized Saiyan that banged his head when he was still a small boy and completely forgot his reason for arriving on this planet. That's right, I'm talking about my role model, Son Goku, arguably anime's most beloved character, but for good reason. Once, when it was a rainy day and I was really bored, I will make that point now, I actually looked up whether or not there was a religion relating to Dragon Ball, primarily because I'd heard that a lot of people had listed their religion to be Jedi on a census here in the UK. But to my amazement, when I did type in Dragon Ball and religion onto Google, it brought up a link discussing something called the Church of Goku, a religion for people dedicated to living their lives in the same sort of pursuit that our favourite Saiyan did, or does, whichever the tense you're going to go with there. People out there seemingly do agree with me that Goku is a pretty good role model, so let's look at the reasons why. For those of you that have had any interactions with me in the past, you will know that I'm a massive Dragon Ball nerd or anorak, and therefore this is one of my favourite topics to discuss and debate. Goku's defining characteristic is the fact that he continually wants to test his limits, to improve and get better. Everything else in his life is secondary to this goal. The guy has got drive, but he's also fiercely loyal to his family and friends. Well, he does actually abandon his family half the time to go and train, but there's still some compassion there from him. He doesn't care what other people think of him, and he actually sometimes comes across as socially awkward, but he is unapologetically himself. These are all awesome qualities to me. Not to mention that he is unbelievably resilient. He's had his backside kicked from pillar to post throughout the series by various villains like Frieza and Jiren, but he's always pulled himself off the canvas to keep going. There are so many young people out there today that just quit when things get tough, and for that reason I think that we could all learn a thing or two from Goku's example. I appreciate some of you are probably hearing your nerd alert go off massively when I talk about an anime character being a role model to me in my life, but I don't mind. I'm comfortable with who I am, and ironically, that is a Goku quality. It's hard to be a role model in society today though, because of the pressures that people are under. Everything that you say or do is recorded digitally onto the internet for eternity. Everyone slips up or lets themselves down from time to time. It's part of being a human, but the general public holds a grudge now. And I say that because no one wants to see a knight in shining armour do well. People that are without weaknesses in 2022 aren't likeable, in the same way that wrestling fans would rather cheer for an anti-hero like Stone Cold Steve Austin that they did 20 years ago. Tyson Fury is positioned as a bit of a role model out there in society because of all the brilliant work, I will say, that he's done on the mental health front. However, if you could go back a few years and look at some comments from him, some pretty bad comments actually, relating to homophobia and the fact that he's never been cleaner than clean when it comes to using steroids, you can see that even people that we put on a pedestal these days have a bit of a dark past. Now, that's not something that I hold against him particularly, because like I say, we all make mistakes. The public will forgive these things though, because he presents himself as a man with weaknesses, in contrast to someone like Anthony Joshua, who has always constructed himself as flawless, essentially. Another person who I think is a role model is Joe Rogan. There's a guy whose best quality is the fact that he listens and weighs things up. He doesn't always come to the right conclusion, and in recent months he has attracted some quite controversial heat for some of the things he said in the past, but who does always say the right thing. I think that's the problem with cancel culture. One wrong slip now and you're not really given the chance to redeem yourself. Now apply that logic to the real world too. How many times do we let ourselves on a monthly, weekly or even daily basis let ourselves down? We hold people up to standards that simply human beings are not capable of hitting. That's why it's hard to pick a concrete role model out there these days, because everyone has done something in the past that they regret. Rogan, though, is a pretty tentative and reflective guy, and those are two qualities that I really respect in people. So when I think about it logically, maybe it's more helpful that we look to emulate qualities that specific people have rather than emulating the people themselves. I'd like to think that I construct my own character as a dash of Goku, a drop of Joe Rogan, a few other people in the mix, and of course my own sense of personality to make up everything that is, well, me. Take the best bits from your role models, and that's likely a decent way to live your life. But what do you guys think? Can you truly be a role model in 2022 when thinking about things like cancel culture these days? Who actually are the great role models out there for young people? Let me know in the comment section below, and make sure to like this video if you have enjoyed it. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for watching this video. I'm Forest Power, and this has been Emotional.